Hello, I'm Diego Pizarro from The Slime, and I'm going to be looking at Disney Pixar's Soul. This movie follows middle school music teacher Joe Gardner, who is desperate to become a famous jazz pianist. After an accident, he falls into a coma and his soul leaves his body. And Joe wants to reunite with his body in time for his big break into the jazz world. Now, I know that premise sounds a bit weird, but that's really what I love about this movie. It's a unique, creative storyline that, when explained, just sounds kind of insane for an animated kids movie. This movie just really did not get enough attention when it first came out. It was released in 2020, so of course, the pandemic really hurt this movie's ability to stand out. Although Pixar has declined in quality in recent years, I think this is one of their last really great movies. If you haven't seen this, give it another shot. It really deserves more love. So first off, I want to get into the cast here. Um, we got Jamie Foxx as Joe, the lead character, who's great in this role. His voice is very endearing, makes you sympathetic for him kind of right away. And Jamie Foxx really captures that kind of eagerness and kind of go-getter attitude that Joe has. He's able to kind of have that excitement in his voice all the time, and really captures the passion that Joe feels for music, which, Jamie Foxx is a natural for this kind of movie. He was in the Ray Charles biopic, and he's a singer himself, has appeared on some Kanye West songs.
Yes, it's a trifling.
Jamie Foxx knows music, loves music, so he was perfect for this role. So then we have Tina Fey as 22, who's sort of this soul that's going to go to Earth, and, go into a person. And Joe kind of gets into this situation where he sort of has to train 22 to go out into the world. And she's sort of sarcastic and negative about life and, has no interest in going to Earth. And he kind of has to get her interested and make her find her quote unquote spark, the thing that really gets her going, that she's passionate about, to get her on Earth. I know I'm being kind of vague and this whole movie sounds weird, but I'm trying not to reveal too much because I kind of want people to go into this movie not knowing too much, because I think it's more effective that way. And I just think it's more intriguing to sort of explain it this way. And Tina Fey is great. 22 is kind of supposed to be young. Like I said, she's this sarcastic, kind of comes off as like an obnoxious teenager type character. And I didn't even notice it was Tina Fey on first watch. She does a really great job and sounds a lot younger than she is. No disrespect. It's just really great voice acting. Then we also got Graham Norton, the hilarious British talk show host, who has great interviews where he gets the celebrities all on a couch together and kind of has them interacting. Graham Norton show in England. Their clips are up on YouTube. You guys should check that out as well if you haven't seen it. And he plays Moonwind, who's kind of like this homeless guy, hippie guru, who's kind of Joe's and 22's guide in the spirit world, so to speak. And as I said, this character is homeless. And I actually like how they kind of represent this character. I think it's a cool way for kids to kind of look at homeless people with less fear. I mean, maybe some people would say it's not a great portrayal, but I think it's cool that, if kids because of this movie, if kids see homeless person, they might just be a bit less scared because this character has been represented in a more positive light. Then we have Rachel House as Terry, who's kind of like the counter of all the souls in this like spirit realm kind of afterlife place. She does a great job as well. And then we have Angela Bassett as jazz saxophonist Dorothea Williams, who is kind of who Joe is trying to impress to get his shot into the jazz world. And she's commanding and intimidating in this role, does an incredible job, and is just so convincing. It's totally convincing as a just sort of hard ass old school jazz musician who takes no bullshit. And speaking of music and musicians, that's also kind of the center of this movie. And speaking of jazz musicians, the music in this movie is Really well done. You have John Batsy from The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He did, I believe, most of the music. Also, Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails did some of the music, which is really, really cool. But jazz legends like Herbie Hancock were actually consulted for the music in this movie, and it really shows. It comes off as very authentic, really incredible, classic sounding jazz music, and again is used very, very well in the movie. And the scores are so memorable and I think really underrated in this movie as well. They evoke a lot of emotion. There's this piece used throughout the movie when characters go into this thing called the zone, which is kind of like they use it in the context of music, but it's kind of doing whatever you're good at, whatever you love, and when you kind of get in that Zen mode and everything's just going perfect and you're just killing it. And there's this piece that plays when characters are kind of in that zone, and it just captures this like feeling of freedom and joy of doing something you love. And I really love that piece of music. And I also love how the music works alongside the movie. Uh, the movie references jazz music constantly, and it's used as a metaphor throughout. I mean, the movie's all about living life to the fullest and relaxing and kind of appreciating what you have and being in the moment. And it's kind of telling you to improvise, take chances, like jazz, because jazz is all about improvising. So just love this movie's relationship with music. And as a deep music fan, and not even a guy who's particularly that well versed in jazz, this movie makes me want to check out more jazz and just makes me kind of respect it more. And it really uh, helps you appreciate how emotional jazz music is. Part of me just feels like even though this movie is intended for kids, adults need it more because watching this as a kid, uh, I would have loved it, but the themes wouldn't have registered in the same way, maybe subconsciously, but definitely not the way they do now. And when I watch this movie, it makes me feel great about life, and that's my number one selling point with this movie. This movie's got a lot of soul, no pun intended. You should definitely go check it out. It's only going to uplift you. So yeah, Soul, one of Pixar's best and underrated classic. Check it out.